Today we are reading the spiritual teachings of Ramana Maharishi. I guess I gotta move a little bit to my right. Here I have the book here. This is a very direct book about the nature of, well, Atma Vidya, knowledge of the self, what you are. Yesterday we read the introduction and the foreword by Carl Jung, and just before we begin there's a short biographical sketch of who Ramana Maharishi is. So, he was born 1879, so more than 100 years ago, and he lived until 1950. He was one of the greatest spiritual teachers of modern-day India. At the age of 17, he attained a profound experience of the true self without even the guidance of a guru, and thereafter remained conscious of his identity with the Absolute, Brahman, at all times. After some years of silent seclusion, he finally began to reply to the questions put to him by spiritual seekers all over the world. He followed no particular traditional system of teaching, but rather spoke directly from his own experience of non-duality. Ramana Maharishi wrote virtually nothing. His teaching took the form of conversations with visitors seeking his guidance, as transcribed by other followers. The brief instructions he left with his followers, and a few songs. His method of instruction was to direct the questioner again and again to his true self, and to recommend, as a path of realization, a tireless form of self-inquiry featuring the question, "Who am I?" The transcribed conversations of Ramana Maharishi are known among spiritual seekers the world over and prized for their great inspirational power, which transcends all religious differences. Sri Ramana Maharishi was born on the 29th of December in 1879 in Tiruchuli, Tamil Nadu in South India. He was the son of Shundaram Ayyar, a scribe and country lawyer. He was given the name Venkataraman, abbreviated as Ramana. At the age of 17, he suddenly had an experience of death one day, in which he realized that the body dies, but the consciousness is not touched by death. I am immortal consciousness. All these, he later reported, were no idle speculations. They went through me like a powerful living truth that I experienced directly, almost without thinking. I, i.e., the true I, or the self, was reality, the only reality in this momentary state. All conscious activity that was related to my body flowed into this I. From that moment, all attention was drawn, as if by powerful magic, to the I, or the self. The fear of death was permanently extinguished. From this time on, I remained fully absorbed in the self. After this experience, Venkataraman lost all interest in things of the world and ultimately left home without his parents' permission to find his way to the holy mountain of Arunachala. There he spent several years in silent self-absorption, first in a dark corner of a temple in Tiruvannamalai at the foot of the mountain, and later in various caves on the mountain itself. During this time, he totally neglected all care of his body and at one point was virtually chewed up by insects. Even when his mother sought him out and attempted to get him to return home, he did not break his silence, but rather acted as though he did not see her. When his followers begged him to make some response to his mother's desperate pleas, he wrote the following impersonal words on a scrap of paper. "The fate of the soul is determined in accordance with its prarabdha karma. What is not meant to happen will not happen, however much you wish it. What is meant to happen will happen, no matter what you do to prevent it. This is certain. Therefore, the best path is to remain silent." When Ramana Maharishi later broke his silence and began to respond to questions about the path to the self, an ashrama, this is an enclosure to keep the enlightened person in, so they don't run off into the caves. This ashrama grew up around him in Tiruvannamalai. There, in 1950, ill with cancer, Ramana Maharishi passed into Mahasamadhi. The site is still visited today by spiritual seekers of every nationality as a place of pilgrimage where the presence of the great saint can still be felt. Hello, Dob Darker. Hello, Adam Hot Dad. Now, who am I? The most important question. Let us finally begin this book for real. As all living beings desire to be happy always, without misery, as in the case of everyone, there is observed supreme love for oneself, and as happiness alone is the cause for love, in order to gain that happiness which is one's nature, and which is experienced in the state of deep sleep where there is no mind, one should know oneself. For that, the path of knowledge, the inquiry of the form, who am I, is the principal means. So, we finally begin with the direct questions and the direct answers to Ramana Maharishi directly. Here we have, presumably, someone who sat near him and listened to the questions that were asked of him and transcribed those and then transcribed the direct response. So, one questioner asked, "Who am I?" Ramana Maharishi responds, "The gross body, which is composed of the 7 humors, dhatus, I am not. The 5 cognitive sense organs, i.e., the senses of hearing, touch, sight, taste, and smell, which apprehend their respective objects, i.e., sound, touch, color, taste, and odor, I am not. The 5 conative sense organs, i.e., the organs of speech, locomotion, grasping, excretion, and procreation, which have their respective functions speaking, moving, grasping, excreting, and enjoying, which perform respectively, I skipped a sentence. I am not. The 5 vital airs, prana, etc., which perform respectively the 5 functions of inbreathing, etc., I am not. Even the mind which thinks, I am not. The nescience, too, which is endowed only with the residual impressions of objects, and in which there are no objects and no functions, I am not. Questioner asks, if I am none of these things, then who am I? Ramana Maharishi responds, after negating all of the above mentioned as neti, not this, not that awareness which alone remains, that I am. Questioner asks, what is the nature of awareness? The nature of awareness is Sat Chit Anandam, existence, consciousness, bliss. Now, let us stop there. Just wet our whistle with this inquiry into the nature of the self. We are not the body, not its 5 organs of perception, nor the 5 organs of action, nor are we the mind or even the subtle impressions that arise within it. What you are as your true self is pure awareness. That is the very essence of existence, consciousness, and bliss. I thank you for reading with me, listening. Allow me to extend my gratitude back to those who sent a gift whilst I read.